Okay, I'm going to show you step 3 of the tote bag. So you have traced your pattern and cut it out, and you have serged the long sides. We are now going to fold it in half, good sides together, as always, so it looks like we're sewing inside out. At the opened end, so the end that is not the fold, you will fold down about 2 inches, 2 inches. So I would fold it down. Now you're going to fold both sides at the same time. You're going to take your sewing gauge, measure down about 2 inches, and double check all the way across to make sure that it is 2 inches and nice and even. Okay? Again, this is the open end, not the folded end. You are then going to move your sewing gauge to 5/8 of an inch. Some of them have been marked with a black marker. If you're not exactly sure, it's the one right after the 1/4 of an inch. Okay, you will then, from the side of your serge stitch, you will measure in 5/8. Now this one, and I'm glad I have this example, they're not exactly even. So I'm going to measure it in from the one that is farthest in so that I'm making sure that I get all of my fabric. So instead of measuring from this one out here, I'm going to measure from the one on the inside. I'm placing my sewing gauge on the folded piece, but I'm going to take my marking pencil and I'm going to mark on the base piece. So I'm going to mark this 5/8 line. So what I've done is I've marked from the 5/8 to the end of my sewing gauge. Okay, and I'm going to make it a little bit darker there. What I will then do is I will snip just in to where that mark is. So I have a little slit. Okay, then I will go over and do the same thing on the other side. Now this side is a little bit more even. So I can put it right at the end of the fabric and mark my 5/8. Again, knowing where my line is. I'm going to do this a little bit darker so I can see it. And then I'm going to open that up and snip in about 5/8. Okay, when I'm done with that, I will have these little flaps that are open. Okay, what I need to do is fold these flaps to the bad side of the fabric. I will go over to my iron and I will iron them down. It is important that they are nice and straight. You don't want to angle it at all. You want to make sure that you fold it in right at the crease or where the cut is. You also don't want to pull it too much so that it bubbles. You want to make sure that it lays nice and flat and is nice and straight. You will do that to all 4, so the 2 at the top and also the 2 at the bottom. Okay, again, making sure that you are going into the bad side. Now, if you have a fabric that is solid and doesn't look like there's a good side and a bad side, then you choose. So pick a side, fold it in, just make sure that you do that the same side for all of the flaps. You will then go to your machine and you will stitch. And what you're going to use as a guide is the edge of your serge seam. You're going to put the needle right here, back stitch, sew down, and back stitch. You will do that to all 4 flaps, essentially stitching those flaps down. And this is what the final product being stitched down would look like. Right along the edge of that serge, and it's cut, and that would be about 4 inches because when it's folded, it's 2 inches.